Mಳೆ, ಮಳೆ. Morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
A warm
Good
welcome.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, ma'am.
Doing good, right? So we will start with our course today, and I find all of you had almost come here on time, right? So good morning, everyone. So this is our first class on retailing, and then we'll have the initial part of the course going on. And we will get started with what exactly we will be doing in another 15 sessions consisting of 30 hours or so. So the brief premise on which we are going to work, what exactly will the course cover, and what exactly will be the learning, what will be the outcome, how will be the assessment, right? So we'll get started with that first. Then we'll take about retailing, on what exactly is retailing. All of you know what retailing is, so it is not something which you have not known. But from the perspective of the course, what exactly are we going to cover, right? So this is what we will be doing in today's class. As I told you, the course, have you all got the course outline? Have you all got the course material? Everything has reached you? Anybody who has not got it?
Ma'am, course material is yet to reach
Okay.
for me. Yeah.
What part of the country are you from? Thank you so much for those who are responding. So which part of the country are you from? Like, because we have sent
I am. Yeah, it's on the way. It will probably reach in a day or two, is what the tracking
having
shows.
your tracking and other things. Anyways, I have also uploaded the material in the VC, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
that is there, ma'am. That is there. The hard copies, I thought. Yeah.
So this course will be assisted by Miss Atulya, right? So Atulya is a person who will be the contact point for you and for me, right? So she's a warm, genuine, nice person. You can always reach out to her. And whenever you have any problems related to anything related to course like that of assessment, material, slides, and whatever things, you can reach out to Atulya, right? So the course that we are covering, right, is retailing. And a brief introduction to retailing is that it's a very interesting part of the entire consumption scenario, right? It is not like the way in which you are into operations or into the distribution part of it. It is the activity in which the product reaches the end user. So we are in touch with retailer, or we were continuously in touch with retailing. That is the point at which we get our products, whether it is online or offline or something. So what we'll be doing in the course is to understand the game of retailing, right? Are you in a position to follow me as to what we'll be doing? So retailing is a big game, right? So what we'll be doing is that we'll be understanding the price, the cost, the volume, the margin, the conversions, right? So the footfalls or the visits, the conversions. So how all these things make a business successful or not so successful. Technically, if you look at retailing, it is one way of managing all these parameters, right? So what is the margin that you earn? Is the margin sufficient enough for you to run the business profitably? How to enhance the margin, right? So how to enhance your physical operations, how to control your value chain, how to control the process of purchase, how to enhance people buy more, right? So we can make money by making the people buy more of volume, more of value, right? So more of additional products. How are we as a retailer can influence the shopper in our store, in our website, in our whatever ways that we get to know about them. So this is a very interesting aspect of consumption. That is what I told you, right? So it involves the interface of the consumer with that of the consumption. How are we going to aid this process better is what we'll be seeing in retailing. Fine, so we will you've got the course material, so I will not run into the course content part of it, right? I will briefly tell you how exactly I intend assessing you, right? There are 15 sessions slated for you, right? So in those 15 sessions, I'll be covering store operations, How exactly can the store be operated better, right? So what are the retail strategies involved? How exactly can we make it more functional? How to understand the dynamics? How do we understand that how much money we make, how much money we spend, how much to earn more? How to influence the purchaser or the shopper when he is in our website or when he is in our store, right? So whatever it is, see, whether it is website or your physical store, it is the consumer, and the consumer is what whom we are going to address this, right? So his inherent qualities is going to remain the same. Only the point of interaction is that it's an online medium and this is an offline medium, so the dynamics of it remains the same. How exactly can we influence the shopper, and how exactly can the experience be made better, right? So whatever be it, whether you purchase a toothpaste or whether you purchase a high-end television, right, here's the point of this is the experience that you generate. How exactly can retailing be made more interesting? What are the roles of store brands, right? So we'll always also be touching upon store brands. We also will be touching upon the technology that is used in retail, right? So retail technology is basically an evolving phenomenon, right? So all of you will know better than what will be taught in the course. So we will be touching upon the technology component also. And then, of course, what is franchising? So franchising again is another important aspect of retailing, right? So we'll be doing about retail strategies, right? So how exactly can we craft a good way of doing retail business? How exactly can the store operations be better? How exactly can a franchising be done efficiently? How exactly can we use technology better? How do we measure all these things? As I told you, retail is one big game, right? So, which involves so much of cost, price, volume, conversions, and how exactly all these gets paid out. Which one are we focusing on? Are we focusing on revenue? Are we focusing on the margin, right? So there are two ways in which retail operates, right? So we want revenue also, we want margin also, right? So how are we going to get this balancing act done? And also good amount of the strategies that will help you understand the dynamics better, right? This is what we'll be doing in the entire course, and the assessment component of it, how I'm planning to assess you is based on these four parameters. So the end term exam is for 30 marks, right? So that is your end of the term examination. Then another important aspect of it is the project. You can choose a project of an interest to you, right? And you can communicate the title to me. That carries the weightage of 30%, and this is a group activity. Project is a group activity. And apart from project and enter, which is bunched to the end of the course, concurrently with the course, we'll be having two assessment component, right? So one assessment component consists of the case, analysis of the case. As you all know, right, so in many of the courses, you're supposed to submit the assignment on case. And I have got a couple of reports also, which also requires some submission. This is a group activity, right? So you need to uh, keep a control of your assignment submission on the cases also. And the next part of it is a very interesting component. Retailing is a subject where it needs some kind of a physical exposure, and we cannot go and then run the operations of any retailer, whether it is small or big or general trade or modern trade, we cannot have. So to substitute for that real-time experience, I will be putting you on to a simulation, right? So for this simulation, you will have individual licenses. All of you can run your simulation individually, right? And that is for your practice. This simulation will tell you how exactly to stock products in the store, how to assign margins, how to assign incentives, how to control what is the focus unit, what is the non-focus unit. So we'll be doing good amount of merchandising, right? Where to source merchandise and how to display merchandise, right? So the simulation will tell you where do you source merchandise, how much of incentive you should give, and how exactly you stock it in your store, what to stock, what not to stock, what to store in your warehouse, what not to do. So all these part of it will be there as a part of a simulation. And how the simulations will be analyzed is that I'll be running a retail simulation tournament for you, right? So this tournament is likely to have 5 or 6 rounds, right? So this will be a group activity. One of the team lead person has to get into the role of the lead, and you have to give your mail ID and other details to Atulya. So we will create the groups, and the team leader will be the point of contact for the retail tournament, and all of you will have to give your decisions. And the retail simulation mark will be based on your standing in the entire tournament. So this class is likely to have some 10 or 12 teams, and the mark will be awarded based on, right? So the parameters that will be evaluated in the simulation is how much of the margin that you're going to give, what is the incentive that you're going to give to the entire value chain, and then what is your profit, what is your market share, right? So the overall evaluation of it is based on the tournament, right? Apart from that, there is also some amount of individual practice which you can do because all of you have individual licenses. Then we'll have some activities based on the concepts that are going in the class. And one round of the game, we will do it in the class. Simulation, one round will be done in the class, and the debrief of the simulation of that particular round will be done in the class. But all other rounds of simulation cannot be done in the class. See, we have only 30 hours of class for us. In that 30 hours of class, we have to do so many things. Hence, it is not possible to assign time for you to do all the rounds in the class time. So one round for you to get a feel of what it is, and then to understand the screen and understand the dynamics of decision making, we'll do it in the class. And all other rounds will have to be done outside the class hours. Is that clear? And quiz, you'll be having maximum of 3 or 4, not many quizzes, right? So these quizzes will be inherently tied with your simulation, or will have other quiz, right? So it can be descriptive or it can be objective. And as I told you, you're likely to have a couple of in-class activities, and your class participation will be marked by Atulya. I urge you all to participate in the audio if feasible, because chat is a little difficult. There is a lag. By the time I read the chat and then I understand, I decipher, and then I get back to the class, it takes a little time. If you come on audio, it would be like video is what is the PGP office advises. So I would urge you all to switch on your videos when you're interacting with me, just in case if there is low connectivity and other network related issues. At least by audio, class participation is welcome. So Atulya will keep a tab of your class participation, right? So this is how we are going to assess you, and this is what is the course content, and this is what is the course. Any clarification, anything that you want to know on how the course is before we get started with the intro to retailing? So in today's retailing class, the first half of it will be doing about the introduction part of it. Then I'll put you on to the breakout room activity where you have, yeah, Vivek. I'll
Ma'am,
put you,
groups
yeah,
have already been formed. Can you confirm that? Have you
yeah.
received this?
I think Atulya can tell you better. I spoke to Atulya this morning. She's likely to put you on to the breakout rooms as per your group orders. Atulya, can you just clarify via chat or audio as to, yeah, she's confirming it. She's got the group details and she'll be putting on to the group. Did you receive that exercise on analyzing the success of retailers? Did you get that activity sheet from Atulya?
Yes, ma'am, we did
Yes.
receive.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Raki, yours will reach you shortly. If you don't reach it, we can get in touch with me. Right? So, any clarification regarding this, about the course, about the assessment? And one more important thing that I want to tell you is that I may circulate peer evaluation form to assess the contribution of group members. See, it is an online medium, and I have received many issues from the students in the previous term. If it is a physical ambience, coordinating with the group members is relatively easy, but with this online medium in progress, it is slightly difficult for the group members also to get in touch with each other. So I urge you all to participate in all these group activities. in the spirit of it, right? So let's not make things complicated for everybody, and it will result in something which is unpleasant. Is that clear? So all the group activities, make sure that you contribute towards your group projects or group activities or simulations. So all what I'm going to assess you is predominantly on group. So this is an earnest request from my end. Hope you all get it in the right spirit. Right? Vivek, your doubt is clarified. And any other aspects with regard to course and anything we can discuss right now before we get started with the course. Anybody has any clarifications regarding anything that is given in the outline? So I'm not receiving any messages in the chat. So I take it that you've understood fully well on what exactly the course is. Good, Chitranjan. Fine. So what I want you to now do is, right, so for a couple of minutes we'll spend on what exactly are your expectations from this course. So you must have picked up this course based on some, what to say, expectation on I want to learn something from this course. So if you could, one or two of you or few of you could tell me, then it will be nice. So we also will get to know, right? So what exactly is the consumer expectation and how exactly should the performance be in tune to make a course delight? So can I have somebody who can tell me what exactly are your expectations from the course? This
Good morning, ma'am.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Isha.
Yeah, Ishta.
So this is my only course from the marketing domain, which I have elected, and so my perspective from this course is like to learn something new because
Mhm.
my background is mostly IT
Mhm.
slash strategy. So like I wanted exposure to all domains, and this is a subject I selected from the marketing domain because I think it combines a little bit of both online and offline, like how to handle operations.
True.
And what I am expecting is may or may not have like have prior experience to it, but yeah, so I'm just here for pure learning experience,
Pure
and I
learning.
look forward to it.
Correct. Good, Isha. Thank you so much that you've taken this course, the only course in marketing. So this is an interface of, as I told you, is an interface of how exactly the process of the conversion happens. So what I'll be doing predominantly is how to make shoppers buy more, right? So to make the shoppers buy more is not an act which can happen all of a sudden or overnight. So the retailer has to expend his energy on all dynamics of how to make him buy more. So we'll be running into the operations component, how to make the value chain better, how to make the operations, retail store operations better, right? So whether it is online or offline, right? So if I mean store operations, I'm including both online and offline. And what exactly should we do, right? So what exactly should the retailer do to make the experience pleasant, right? So whenever there is an interaction between the brand and the consumer, that is what we call as an experience, right? So you're getting in touch with the consumers through some media, and this experience is what should make it more pleasurable, right? So this emotional connect will get translated into intention and ultimately purchase part of it. So I will sincerely hope that this learning component of learning aspect of yours will be met in the course, Tisha. Right? Thank you so much. Anybody else as to what exactly you expect from this course? This course will have relatively less of psychology, right? So it will have more of running the operations, retail operation, running the store, running an online retail website, how to get the conversion, right? So all we are bothered is how to make people buy, how to make people buy more. These are the two objectives which will be running through the entire course, right? So we'll get started with the course, and the very fundamental question, right? What is retailing? What is retailing for you? How is it different from distribution? How it is different from manufacturing? What is retailing per se? What are we going to do in this entire 30 hours of class? What is retailing? So can anybody tell me what is retailing to you?
Getting
Getting?
getting the product at to the right person at the right time.
Yeah, that is right. So to the right person at the right time, selling goods to the consumer. Good. Retail deals with actual. So basically dealing with different products online or offline, right? Anything else? Anybody else would like to tell me what exactly is retailing? Yeah, retailing is B2C, right? Navam, can you just throw some light on what do you mean by B2C? Right? So this is B2C is a common term that we'll be using it. So product meant for consumption. Thank you, Meghna. Right? So she got the crux of retailing bang on. Right? So if you say retailing, or what you mean by retailing is the activity or the process by which you sell the products to the end user. Right? So the sale of goods or services to the end user as either an individual or a household, right? So there is no further way in which the product is moving down the value chain or getting processed or some value addition is there. This is the clear aspect which you need to understand. If it is retailing, the product is sold to the end user, right? So the user can be an individual or a household. This is what is the core of retailing. So this is the final point at which the value chain ends, from the place of production to the place of consumption, right? So it has reached the user. Now we are studying only that component of retailing. Right? If you look at retailing from a business model perspective, right? So what does it consist of? Right? So what it consists of is, let me share my sketchbook with you, and then you can understand it better. Right? So, as I told you, if you look at retailing from the business perspective, there is somebody called as the buyer. There is somebody called as the seller. There is something called as product. There is something called as exchange process. Right? So, what is happening here in retailing is, right? So, there is somebody called as the person who is in need of the product. Right? So, that is the buyer. There is somebody who wants to sell that particular product. That is the seller. And there is a product, right? Or a service, right? So in retail, I'll be predominantly using the term product, right? So it also includes service. There is something called as a product that is available for exchange, right? So now what happens is that this product has to move from the seller to the buyer, right? So there is a process of exchange that is involved. Is it not? So I want the product, I pay the price of the product, right? So this process of exchange should have to happen, right? So how this exchange process happens, how all these entire aspect of the business gets completed will determine whether you're successful or not successful, right? So this can be your online way of transacting, exchanging products, offline way of transacting, exchanging products, right? So it can be omni-channel, different ways by which, right? So seamless integration between the channels, right? So the success of retailing, if you look from a business model perspective, this is what is the core of retailing. Are you in a position to understand? So retailing is the sale of the product or services to the end user, right? So that is the activity that is getting carried out. What exactly is happening in this entire process of retailing? There can be the buyer at one end, seller at one end. These two people have something in common, right? So they want a product. So how did this process happen earlier? If you look at the evolution of retailing, right? So there was this barter system, right? So the exchange of it was not currency based. So I had something in excess of what is required for me or for my household, which I produced. Then that product which was in excess, I gave it to somebody to get a product which I need in turn, right? So this was the exchange process. Are you in a position to understand? So from the time, the earliest part of the exchange process, right? So we did not have currency at that point in time. It was predominantly barter, one product for another product. This is how exchange took place. Then what happened? Then currency was invented. So coins were invented. So coins of different metals were there. And then for the product, you gave the what to say, coin or the currency of that particular time. And then this exchange was facilitated, right? Then what happened? Man started settling down, right? And then how the retailing evolved. If you look at the history of retailing, right? So the stores that we have, right? So the permanent stores, whether it is your kirana store or whether it is your supermarket or whether it is your electronic store, is of recent origin. So when retailing had its earlier stint, what happened is that the tradesmen, right, used to take their merchandise physically and then go approach the buyers and sell them, right? So you must have seen even vegetable carts now come to our home and then to deliver our, to sell the vegetables, not delivering the vegetables, selling of the vegetables, right? So those kind of physical movement of tradesmen to the place or where the consumer is located was initially presented. So what happened? These traders used to go visit people and then used to carry out this process of exchange. So if they need the product, they will sell the product and then they will get the exchange money in turn, right? Then what happened is that these tradesmen settled in one place and then markets were created, right? Or stores were created. Right? So prior to the stores getting created, they had a common place called markets. So in markets, what happened? All these people who wanted to sell will come and then they will display the product. People who are in need of the product will come and buy the product. And then what happened is that this mandis are were predominantly on few days of the week, right? So on specific days of week will be there. Then what people wanted was they wanted it on some regular basis. So what happened is that these tradesmen developed their own outlets at certain points. That was the starting point of the stores getting operational. And of course, after physical retailing, now we have the online retailing. We don't need a store at all, right? We have the online model that is there. And in online, we have different models. You have marketplace, you have your inventory, you have managed, you have self-fulfilled, all those things. Now it is not pure online. Now it is not pure offline. You have a mix. How this seamless experience happens. So retailing is a kind of business which doesn't stay at one point in time. It continuously evolves based on the environmental context, right? So based on the environment, the consumer preferences changes and then the retail model also develops accordingly. So this is how retail has evolved to where it is right now. If you look at it from the philosophical view, right, it is just the process of exchange. I need something, he has something, there is a product, there is a exchange, there is a value that is getting traded, and then the process is getting completed. And your role in it lies in how exactly these four aspects of the business are to be done very effectively, right? So what does the retailer want? The retailer want more number of people to visit his website or the store. Is the visit alone sufficient? No. Those who are visiting the website or the store will have to buy. He is bothered about the store conversion, right? So store traffic is the number of people who go to the store, whether it is online or offline. How many of those conversions, how many of those people who are visiting, what is the conversion of the traffic? That is another important parameter. Then inside the store, what he buys, right? So whatever he buys should add more to his revenue, should add more to his margin. Are you in a position to understand? So what if I buy one pencil and one eraser? What happens? The value of the item is very low, right? So whatever he purchases must be of value, high value, and also volume, right? So why do you need the volumes? Volume is needed because you need to turn your inventory, right? So you have got some stock in your warehouse. This stock has to move, right? So if people are not buying volumes, how will the inventory turn be, right? So you will have only inventory carrying cost, right? So how to turn the inventory fast? How to make people buy products which is of more value, right? So people should buy products which is of more value. You will have to buy more of the products. How to make them buy more? If you just simply open the store and ask people to come and do it, will they buy? How exactly can I aid them in buying, right? So this is what is the retailer's expectation. So what is the buyer now expecting? The buyer wants to go to the store which has the merchandise that he wants, right? So wherever I go, whether it is apparel retailer or electronic retailer or whatever retailing it is, what is my objective? You should give me variety in the brands, that is the options or the choices that are available, right? So for the choices or the option to be available, right, so what should the retailer do? The retailer should do a current accurate study of what are the brands that are moving, right? So then what happens? The choice should be optimal, right? The display of the products that is available in the store should be optimal. It should be neither too small nor too big. If it is very small assortment, then I get the feeling that this store is not satisfying my need. If it is too much, I get overwhelmed with information and I may not be in a position to make the right choice. So what the consumer expects is he should cater to my need. See, for the consumer, he is just bothered about what he wants to buy. But what is the retailer now bothered about? He's bothered about a larger population which visits his store. So, how exactly to strike a balance between an individual customer and the group of customers who are going to come? And inside the store, right? So, what is the consumer wanting? Or in the website for that matter, what do you want? You want to find the product of your choice at ease, right? So you want things to happen faster. You want to happen it conveniently. And the entire experience, whatever I encounter in the store, should be pleasant. The entire experience management should be faster. On top of it, what the consumer wants, he wants the price of the product to be very low. He wants the discounts to be high. He wants the quality to be high. These are all consumer expectations, right? So if I give a product which is low, which is priced very less, what will happen to my margin? What is the retailer's problem? The price of the product is coming down, but the cost of production is going up. So how I manage my cost? How I manage my margin, right? So how exactly is this exchange going to take place? So this gives the success story of what exactly, right? So what has happened to Future Group now, right? If you look at Future Group, right? So Future Group is Rabiani is the first person, right? So we should thank him for the amount of work that he had done for retailing, right? So he's the first one who made people, an average Indian, to walk into the supermarket, right? So earlier, right, prior to him revolutionizing the supermarket concept for grocery and lot many other product categories, right? So people were slightly hesitant to shop in a supermarket. Why were they hesitant? They were hesitant because of the fact that prices of the product there will be expensive. So he was the one man who made the or average Indian purchase in a supermarket. And another important aspect of it is that he was the only one. He was one of the earliest retailer or businessman to understand consumer psyche, to draw the consumer into the store. What is required, right? So you need to give them the wider set of products at a reasonable price at a discount. These are all crowd pullers. And then if you look at Biani, right? So he was the one to initially create the buzz around sale during Republic Day, right? So if you look at Indian shopping calendar is pretty active sometime from September till December, right? So after that, till early December, the calendar, people shop extensively. So that is when is the festive season in India is around, right? So it starts with Onam and it ends somewhere in December. And this period, right? So the entire month of early Jan and that part of it is relatively a dull period for retail. So what he did is that he created his Republic Day sale around this. right? So he gave a reason for people to come out and shop in the time in which it was not expected to. So he had done enough and more for retailing. But despite doing all these things, right? So he was doing rather well. So he was acquiring almost all the small format stores and the for retail stores which were not performing well. So he acquired Nilgiris, he acquired Busy Day. But then where did he go wrong? Where did he go wrong? That has put him in a scenario that had already put him in a scenario where he is no longer into active retailing at all. What happened to him? Where did he fumble? Where did he go wrong? Can somebody tell me? As to after doing phenomenal work at the initial years, where possibly he would have went wrong? Can somebody throw light on? Yeah, store brands, good, right? So he was extensively into debt, and then what was the reason for the debt, Abhay? It's right. It's a right thing. What was the reason for debt? Expanded.
Retail space, I think.
Yeah, it is. Expanded too quickly. Great, Ayushi. Right. So, can you throw some light on what the expansion is, how the expansion was managed, and where did he go wrong exactly in managing the expansion?
Basically, they wanted to replace the local Kirana stores.
True.
So what they did was they tried to cover the vision was to, I guess, open every store in a 2 kilometer area, something like that. So that's why they expanded too quickly and took up a lot of debt for that. But considering all the pandemic thing and even before that, they couldn't cover for the debt and eventually had to strike a deal with the Reliance.
Good, good. Aishi, thank you so much for your input here. It is very correct. So, what Aishi was pointing out was the expansion part of it. So, when you're expanding in a neck break speed, right? So, what happened is that you need to manage the financing of those expansion, right? And then to finance the expansion, the business also should correspondingly expand. So, that is where Mr. Biyani possibly fumbled, right? And another important aspect which was mentioned by Meghna is also about store brands, right? So they created this store brand which they want to sell it to all the kiranas. So the focus was more on store brands, and to manage store brands is also a tricky business, right? So these private labels give you high margin, which we will discuss in the next class as to how much of margin you get by selling a store brand vis-a-vis a national brand. But then to create a store brand and to distribute is also a tedious task. So that is where he had fumbled. But all said and done, what we get in retailing or what we have, the wider options that we have in retailing should be credited to Mr. Biani's vision to make people shop in a place which they did not have any inclination to. To pull people into the supermarket was a big challenge at that point in time for Mr. Biani, and he did a wonderful job. The only thing is that the sustaining part of it is very difficult. Why sustaining is very difficult is because retail is a thin margin business, right? So retailing is not a business which gives you larger margin, right? Once you have thin margin, then managing the thin margin is where the skill of business lies, right? When you earn very little money by the selling of products, how exactly can you sell? That is why if you look at retailing now, retailers make relatively less amount of money by selling products, but they make more amount of money by selling space, right? So there is a store inside the store concept. You sell your shelf space, right? So you have to make money through other means, not necessarily by selling. If you look at fuel, right? So if you look at fuel retailing, fuel retailers make relatively less money by selling the core product. What is that core product? That is the petrol or diesel or fuel. But they make more money by selling other things. So retailer has to have a hang of what is my core revenue, what is my contribution of the core revenue to the business, and what exactly is the non-core revenue, how it can be increased, and what exactly is the contribution, how to get the right mix, right? So it is more of running a retail business is part science and part arts. Yeah, D2C is likely to have a higher margin, but then did you read the Deloitte article, Nikhil, which I sent you? What does Deloitte article tells you? So Deloitte article tells you D2C seems to be very nice and glamorous from outside. But if you look at the cost dynamics of D2C, right? So they have more of, price matching also makes it difficult. So what is happening here is that this D2C model, right? So has more of variable cost. Are you in a position to understand if it is D2 or if it is offline, right? Or Let's not take it online and D2C and otherwise. We'll take it as online and offline. So in offline, what happens is that the model has high fixed cost because you have a real estate, you have people to sell the products, and there is inventory and all those things. What is happening in the online model, right? So you don't have these fixed costs, but variable costs are more, right? The order fulfillment cost, the warehouse cost, the labor cost, the reverse logistic cost, right? So retailing, whether it is online or offline, is a slightly tricky business to manage. It's not that it's unmanageable, right? So it's not that Amazon is doing a good job or whether Walmart is not doing a good job. They are doing a good job, but then to do that requires some amount of effort, right? So we will be doing about all these things and more, right? So if you look at retailers, right? So retailers like Reliance, who are relatively late into entering into the space, are making good amount of, what to say, are fairly successful. Let's not say they're very highly successful because that success is again is a relative term, right? And if you look at not so successful term, right? So Future Group we have discussed, and Subiksha is one other classic study, right? Many of you may not know this outlet or this chain of outlets. It is a slightly an older chain which is defunct now, which was once active. So it was the first Future Group of the retail. This Subiksha was started by a person who's an IIT IM alumnus, and the business was doing so well, right? So that again was a discount retailing model. He sold everything from pharma items to crackers to grocery, dry grocery, wet grocery, to that of electronics. And once he was initially aligned when the stores were initially present in South. And here again, once you are successful in one part of the country, what happened is that all retailers would like to go on a pan-India mission. And when you expand, right? So all their capital requirements went wrong, and this was again a classic failure, right? So if time permits, you get into that also. Now we'll get into the retailing part of it. What makes retailing so successful, right? So what exactly is driving retailing at this point in time? We'll briefly discuss as to what are the factors that drives Indian retailing. If you look at retailing, the consumption process is a culmination of the interplay of so many factors. Are you in a position to understand? So now, when the because of pandemic, when the entire economy is in doldrums, so our what happened? Did you lost my connection suddenly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It came back now.
Is it okay? I was on campus only. I don't know why this happened all of a sudden. Right. So let's get into what are the drivers of retailing. As I told you, the purchase of retailing is a culmination of so many factors, right? So the first and foremost factor that is required to make a successful retailing is the economic factors, right? So whether the state of economy determines the consumption. That is why there is so much emphasis now on boosting the consumption, right? So consumption happens at the retail point, but then for the consumption to happen, what is important, right? So what is important are what to say, an interplay of so many economic factors. So one is the income, and the second important point is the disposable income, and the third important aspect is the attitude of people towards spending. Now, if you look at India, the India that was there some 30 years before was different. The India that we see now is very different. What exactly is the point of difference between that India and this India? Right? Point number one is that the income levels have increased across the spectrum. Right? So nobody is earning less these days. In whatever position it is, people are making money. But then what is the problem? If they're making money, they have to spend money, right? So where will they spend money? They will spend money for buying things, right? So what is buying things? Buying things is retail. Another important aspect of it is it's not the absolute income that is going to govern your retail. It is the disposable income, right? How much of money that is left within you to make the purchase of anything, whether predominantly discretionary, right? So that is what is the disposable income. Now what happens is that there are people who have high amount of disposable income, and are they spending? That is what is the government of India's priority now. What is the finance minister saying now? There are people who are not being affected so much by pandemic, but these people are not spending. Right? If only you spend, the consumption increases. What will consumption do? The consumption will bring back the cycle of growth. Right? So one important thing that had happened to Indian retailing, because of which retailing as a course, as a sphere of business is developing very well, is because Indians have changed. They have changed their attitude from saving to spending. This is a key change which has resulted in retailing doing relatively well. If you look at the consumer psychology or psychology of Indians were predominantly savings oriented, right? So whatever money they get, they always want to save it, either for themselves or for the future generation. They don't want to spend it. But that aspect of Indian psyche is now coming down. If you look at the statistical figure, right? So earlier the savings rate from 11 to 12, right? So the financial year 11-12 was close to 24%, 23.6%. In another 5 years, right, it had dropped to 17 odd percentage. And now we don't have the recent trends, but then it is said that the spending attitude has increased all the more. This is one which the business, the retail has to capture. Now, people have developed a tendency to spend. Are you in a position to understand? So, the point number one that is now increasingly working in favor of retailing, increasingly working in favor of consumption, is that the society is turning increasingly consumption oriented, increasingly experience oriented, increasingly materialistic. Right? So what happens at this point in time is that we need to cash in. So people are spending money, are interested in spending money. They have the tendency to spend. Right? So when they have the tendency to spend, what should the retailer do? The retailer should grab the opportunity and then spend it. So point number one, which drives is the economic aspect. Are you in a position to understand? So now they have money, they have more of disposable income, and this disposable income they are interested spending than saving. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is the demographic aspect. Right? So India, as you all know, right, is a country which is young. And predominantly 65% of its population is less than 35. Right? So what is so great about this young population? Right? So of course, right, what is important is that this is the period of life where their consumption is accelerating. Are you in a position to understand? So after, right, so 50% of the country is less than 25, 65 is less than 35. So somewhere starting early 20s towards the mid 30s is when there is a lot of changes in your life cycle stages, right? So you start working, right? When you start working, you start staying out of home. Then you will get married. You will start your new home. You will have children. So all these life cycle activities result in a lot and lot of consumption. And this set of population is increasing, right? As a result of it, there is so much of purchase. Are you in a position to appreciate why retailing is growing? Retailing is growing because there are people who are buying more. That set of people who should buy more are increasing. And another important aspect is that people are increasingly moving towards spending. And the third important aspect is that the general affluence level of Indians is also increasing, right? So there are a lot of people, we have pulled out people from poverty, right? So in the last 30 years or so, India has done remarkably well on poverty alleviation, right? So there is no abject poverty. Of course, there are poverty. There is no denial of the fact, but I'm not denying it. But India is largely able to pull people out of poverty to some extent, right? So we have reduced starvation related deaths. If you look at before 30 years, what happened is that there were a lot of starvation deaths. So the income of households have increased, right? So across the spectrum, the household incomes have increased. But what is more interesting is that there is a sizable amount of middle class income, and there is a sizable amount of HNIs also. There is a sizable number of people with rural background who are able to get more money. So across the strata of society, there is an income increase. There is an increase in the affluence, right? So no one is left out in the process of economic development, right? So of course there can be criticism that there are people who are made poorer and richer are made richer. But that criticism apart, what it has done is that it had increased, put money into the pockets of almost everybody at all strata of society, right? So now rural India has more money to spend. Urban India also has more money to spend. Middle class household also has more money to spend. And then the increase of ultra rich has also is also more, right? So what is happening is that all the people are having money. If only you have money, you can spend. So what does the retailer need now? All that the retailer should do strategically is to make these people having money to spend money, right? So that is what is the role of you, right? So when you get out of this institute, right? So you should get this dynamics very clear, right? So who's having money, whose money whom we want to spend, how to make him spend, what are the things that I can do from the retailer's point of view to make him spend. That is what we will be doing in this entire class, right? So if you look at the statistics, right, so I don't want to dwell deep into it, you'll get the slide. So what is happening is that the GDP of rural India is very high. So it is close to 6.2%, whereas the urban India is 4.7. So the growth is happening from the hinterlands. That is the reason why all these stores like that of Max and all brands are now heading towards tier 2 cities. If you look at online retailers, companies like Pepperfry, right? So which is a thorough online company, has now diversified into offline. And where are they going to have their offline stores? They're going to have their offline stores not in metros and mini metros or tier 1, but they're going to have it in tier 2 and tier 3, right? So why is it? People there are increasingly inclined towards spending money on purchases. So you grab them there, right? So the savings. So did you understand? So what I was trying to tell you in the last 10 minutes was that for a retailing to succeed, right? So you need the interplay of so many factors. So what was the factor number one? Factor number one was how is the economy doing, right? So what is the attitude of people towards spending? That is more important. If only people are inclined towards spending, you can make them spend money. Otherwise, your retailing will not thrive, right? So you can have 100 different types of formats, right? So you can give him the best of experience, but then he will not spend money unless and until he's inclined towards it. So you need economic factors. What is the income? What is the disposable income? What exactly is this attitude towards spending? The second thing is the social factor, right? So how exactly are the different social group, right, based on the income group or the group within the particular country? How exactly are the affluence influencing the purchase? The third important thing is that of the demographic factor. So demographic dividend of India is widely known, but what you need to know from in retailing is that this population, the 65% of the population, we are getting them when they are on the consumption expansion. Some 20 years, 30 years from now, it will be very difficult because all of them will get older. As you get older, what happens is that your consumption gets consolidated, right? So your needs get consolidated. You will buy only limited number of products. Of course, you can enhance value and differentiate value and charge them the higher price, but then the speed of consumption will be not be there. So this is the time when it is for you to reap the benefits. So these guys will get older in another 20 years, right? So these 25 years will become 45 years and 35 will become 55, right? And India, the fertility rate is also slightly declining, right? So of course, we are not declining at the rate at which the European countries are declining, but then there is likely to be a moderation in the population also. So at that point in time, another 20 years from now, we will not have this driver. What we have now will be absent some 20 years from now. And if you look at the development, it is not necessarily an urban driven phenomenon. It is driven by the hinterlands. And wealth is increasing across the social spectrum, whether you're there at the lowest level or whether you're there at the highest level, whether you're a HNI or in abject poverty, there is an increase in the wealth, right? So all of them, there is affluence, there is increased money with all these things. All these are now driving the retail. And then what happened is that if you look at the statistics of it, what I'm trying to tell you is that the growth is expected for all the formats. Right? So now there is a current hype around online. Right? So the hype is fine, but it is not only one format which is likely to thrive, but it is also multiple formats. Right? So whether it is online or offline or the traditional format. See, in India, retailing is slightly complex, right? So we have traditional format and modern format in all product categories, whether it is kirana or jewelry or apparel. So including high value items like that of jewelry, there is a strong what to say control of these traditional retailers. And Indians predominantly have some amount of credibility attached to these traditional outlets also. People believe traditional jewelers more than they believe the organized or the modern trade jewelers. Yet the chain stores of jewelry are important. They're also equally important. But then what happens is that people have some amount of physical or psychological connection with their local retailers, general retailers cutting across product categories, right? So your local jewelers, your local apparel retailers, local footwear retailers, local kirana stores still will have a sway over your purchase, despite online coming booming really well. Even if it grows at the neck break speed, at the current speed due to pandemic, these physical retailers will not die. These traditional retailers will hold the sway over you, right? And another important aspect of it is that we were talking about different formats in retailing, right? So what you need to understand as a strategist, as a marketer, is that the consumer is just not bothered about what happens at your back end, right? How you source the product, how you display your product, how you display it on your website, how you're going to transport it to my place, how exactly it is going to be displayed in the retail store. It is not his botheration. What he wants is he wants the product that he needs, the brand that he needs, the SKU that he needs, right? So I want 500 ml Pepsi bottle, right? So he wants a category called soft drinks. He wants a brand called Pepsi. He wants the SKU at the 500 ml, right? So how this is going to be reaching the consumer is what is your botheration. What he wants is that if he goes to the next store, Kirana store, it should be available. So 500 ml Pepsi should be available for him. If he orders online, he wants it to be delivered at the earliest, right? So nowadays people want it immediately, but at least at the earliest, right? So he is not bothered about anything, right? So what happens here is that we talk about different channels as retailers, but then what the consumer wants, he wants the right product at the right time at the right place. This is what he wants. For him, whatever you do or whichever channel that he purchases, whether it is brick and click and brick or hyper local or online or offline, is your problem. He finds it as everything inclusive. He wants a seamless experience. So you need to understand the dynamics of the execution lies with you. The consumer is not bothered about execution. He is bothered only about experience, right? So the onus is on the retailer on how exactly you're going to make the execution very, very effective. How are you going to source that 500 ml Pepsi bottle at the cheapest price so that you get the high margin and deliver it to the consumer wherever he wants it. Right. So whether he wants it in the beach, whether he wants it in his kirana, whether he wants it online, or whether he wants it at his doorstep. Right. So you need to understand you have a task at hand. Right. So the magnitude of the task that you have has series of activities. Right. So let's do all this elaborately in this retail course. Fine. So I thought I will just briefly tell you what this, and we'll get started with the class. So this is what is the intro part of it. After you, now it is 10:15, we will go for a break. When you come back, right, so we'll have to do this activity. I will put you into the breakout room. I will give you a brief of what is expected out of it, and then you can go to the breakout room, and then you can make the analysis, come back, and we'll have the presentation in the class. So we'll go for a break now and then reassemble at 10:30.
Ah. తర్వాత
Welcome back to the class. As I told you, we have a group activity right now. What I want you to do is that, did you all go through that exercise sheet that I gave you? It contains details about different retailers, right? So it is a scenario wherein you have a fresh MBA graduate given a task of analyzing how successful these retailers are, right? So the important aspect of it is that she needs to cull out the information that is present in the particular copy, right? So good amount of financial informations are given here, right? So what you need to do is that as a group, you need to answer these 4 questions. How are you going to assess the performance? And then what do you infer from their business plans, right? So how exactly are they doing? How do you measure their performance? Right? So, and can you classify them as successful or not so successful? And then, so this case is about investing. So should you invest? And one more thing that I want you to do is that I want you all to calculate the margin, right? So which is not asked in the question, right? So calculate the margin of all these retailers. This is one important parameter which you should be strongly aware of, right? So what is the margin? What is the net income by sales, right? So compute all these ratios, right? So you have, right? So you have considerable amount of financial information that is given at the end of the case. So you calculate the return on assets, right? So return on sales, then that of net margin, employee turnover, inventory turnover, right? So change in sales over a period of time, change in income over a period of time, and then you can finally conclude your assessment for these 4 questions. So these 4 questions require you analyzing the data that is given at the end of the sheet, right? So this is the financial data that is given to you. All you need is to compute the values, analyze at a particular figure. So once you compute, you are likely to have a table like this. So this is what is the table that I had worked out, right? So you will have the different retailers, right? So I did not scan, so I'm not in a position to share it. So this is the retailer, and these are the different ratios that I have calculated. So what is the return on assets, return on sales, net sales, turnover, staff turnover, inventory turnover, market to book, change in the sale, change in the profit. So you have to do like this for 2013 and 2014. For 2 years, you have to do. And once you do it, you will get what exactly is the status of that particular retailer. And you'll be in a position to answer these questions, right? So when I put you all in the breakout room, fine, so all of you will have, each group will have 5 or 6 students, right? So each one of you can take charge of computing one ratio. Is that clear? So I'm just telling you the group dynamics also. It is not that one of you will have to work all the ratios. Divide the ratios into group members. Ask them to analyze. So this will take, like, if you open your Excel sheet and if you do it, it should not take more than 5 minutes of your time, or maximum 10 minutes, even if you're going to copy and paste the values, right? So after 10 minutes, you take another 10 minutes to brainstorm your responses, and another 10 minutes to write up, right? So I don't want a PowerPoint presentation, even a handwritten document and a scanned document or a PDF. Yeah, see, Palak, Atulya is doing it. Give her some time, right? So she will put you into the, based on the project groups or whatever it is. I'll ask Atulya to give her information via chat. So she will guide you. I have asked her to put you based on your project groups, right? So meanwhile, yeah, Meghna, go ahead.
Ma'am, for the exhibit, do we have an Excel sheet because the values from the PDF are...
Yeah, I don't have an Excel sheet that is given along with the quiz. In fact, I asked them, but there is no Excel sheet that is available.
Acha, okay, all right, ma'am.
So, yeah, that is why I told you it is, why if one of you take this alone, it will be easier, right?
Right.
But
Okay.
it should be easier. It should not take more than, I did it manually only, right? So it did not take much of a time for me. You can do it, but what is more important is, yeah, Devesh, I am planning to put you according to project group only. Give some time to Atulya. Like, she's doing it right now. Let's give her 5 minutes. Let her done. We'll do all these things. Atulya, once you're done, you let us know, and then we will put them into the breakout room. And I don't want PowerPoint presentation for this, right? So I want your insights for this. Are you in a position to understand? So these PowerPoints are not all that insightful. I want you, the team, to brainstorm as to how exactly are these retailers doing. The data is pretty old, but the meaning that you cull out will have to be more insightful, figuring out what exactly is the strategy. Is that clear? So I want you, we can go through the exercise sheet. It is rather simple, right? So what is given here is the scenario. The first page of it talks about the scenario. It's about Kelsey talking about it. And then it is talking about what are the 4 questions that she needs to address. These 4 questions are not direct pick and choose, right? So you have to apply your mind to arrive at a response for it. That is where the group thinking involved. If you do it all alone, your response might be a little different. But when collectively, when you think as a group, your responses might be varied. So that is what I want you all to do at this point in time. Right, let me check with Atulya as to whether the group is ready. So I'll give you half an hour of time to go through the entire exercise, right? So because it involves calculation and brainstorming. So I'll give you half an hour of time, and the output that I expect is in any form, right? So you can even discuss it without any of those PPTs or Word or PDF if you're confident enough. Or if you want PPT, you can go ahead. Or if you want, you have done your calculation in Excel, you want to project the Excel and then you want to show me, that is also perfectly fine with me. Is that clear? Atulya, is the group put in order? Like, are the groups divided based on the list that is with us?
Ma'am, doing, so manually doing, it will take time.
Okay.
Now the fifth group is ready.
Yeah. So till she puts you into the breakout room, right? So you can start doing the ratios till we complete this task of putting you into the breakout room, and after which I will put you into the breakout room as per your project, right? So if do you need some help, Atulya?
Ma'am, it will very difficult to add manually because 53 students are there. So total 10 groups are there.
Okay, so you find it. Yeah, I want the margin. Okay, fine. So we'll what well, if they continue the task, Atulya,
Yes, ma'am.
will I continue with I want you to calculate the margin, Prana, right? So margin is sales by income by sales, net income by sales, which is the important metric for the retailer. Yeah. Yeah, that is what, see, till she completes her task, I will continue with my lecture. Fine. So we will go into the breakout room after she creates one, right? We were discussing about retail. Fine. So we will continue our discussion at this point in time. Are you able to see my screen? Are you in a position to see the slides now?
No, ma'am. You are sharing a PDF right now.
No. Fine. Let me share again. Right. So I'm sharing my slides. We'll continue our discussion with retailing. So she needs some time to. Okay. I was talking about what exactly is retailing and why is it important, right? So we saw about the activity called retailing. So it is the way in which you reach the end user. And we also talked about a more strategic view of what is retailing, how it evolved, right? So it evolved from this time that we were very, it dates back to our history, right? So when we were moving from one place to another place, when we were exchanging products for barter, from then on, how tradesmen reached our place to deliver the products, right? And after which these tradesmen settled in one place, created the stores, and then how the exchange of products to currency took place. And this, we have reached a stage where this phenomenon has grown very well, and we have a separate branch of the economy which focuses more on consumption, right? So our role in economy in a larger business perspective talks about how to induce consumption, how to influence consumption, right? So as a retailer, you're doing a greater service to the economy by making people consume, because consumption is more important from economic perspective to make the machine move better, right? Then we also saw about what makes successful retailing. Who is a successful retailer? A successful retailer is a one who is able to manage his cost, his price, his volume, his margin very effectively, right? So how are you able to keep the cost at a reasonable limit? So you cannot lower your cost beyond. How to make it optimal? How to maintain it at a particular level? How to price the product better? How to get your margin? How to get your revenue? Right? How to work on your volumes? How to work on your values? How exactly can we get these things right? So that is what you're going to see in this particular activity. The activity sheet that I'm going to give you precisely talks about this entire process. What is cost, price, volume, margin, right? So how to make money? Are these retailers making money at all? Who is making more money? Making more money is who is more profitable. And this retailing has so many reasons for why it is thriving in India. So we dealt about economic reasons, we dealt about demographic reasons, we dealt about social class, we dealt about the social setup, we also dealt about the larger aspects of changing consumer preferences. And as I told you, your consumer is not bothered about how the product reaches him. It is your duty. He is bothered about getting what he wants at where he wants and the time that he wants. How are you going to make this work for you is what is the successful retailing all about. And then if you look at retailing all along in this course, I was mentioning about consumption. Why we are bothered about consumption is retailing influences economy directly. After agriculture, this is one sector which is going to influence it drastically. Retailing is contributing to 20% of your GDP and it employs 8% of your population, either directly or indirectly. And the remaining people are influenced by the retail, by the process of consumption. There is no one in the country, no one in the economy who is left without being influenced by the retailer, right? So you generate direct employment, you generate entrepreneurial spirits, you generate your indirect employment, and then the sector is growing at a remarkable speed, right? So there is no way in which you can avoid focusing on retail. There is no way in which you can avoid focusing on consumption. If you're focusing on consumption, what is intertwined with consumption is retailing. So retailing is a high stake game, necessarily because of the fact that it keeps your economy on track and then it has a direct bearing on the livelihood of so many people, right? So that is another important aspect of it. And when it comes to Indian retailing, right, so what is more important is you need to understand, as I told you, there is traditional format, there is modern format. People use the term organized and unorganized retail. Let's not use the term organized and unorganized because it connotes something else, right? So traditional format exists in all categories. As I told you, jewelry is a high involvement product category. But then there are considerable amount of the local retailers or traditional retailers who have one store which is less than 500 square feet, catering to the local population who are more successful, right? So this traditional format is not necessarily an Indian phenomenon. It is found across the globe. It is found in US. It is found in North America. It is found in South America. Like countries like Mexico have more number of traditional retailers than us, right? So it is found in Europe. So this traditional retailing is something which we have to live with. What happens here is that these traditional retailers also have some points which they score over modern retailers. Okay? So there is something which a modern retailer cannot give. One second, let me pick the call from
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse ma'am. It's almost ready, ma'am.
It is almost ready.
Yeah, 10%.
So when it is complete, you continue with the next. So you just come out. Right? So what happens is that it results in certain aspects which you cannot give, right? So what is happening in the traditional retail is there is some amount of convenience and local orientation that is present, which a larger retailer cannot give. Say for example, if you take kirana stores and chain stores, say for example, retail Reliance chain and that of local retailer. The way in which the local retailer, the kirana store, presents his merchandise will be very different. Here he can change the merchandise plan, right? So what he displays in the store, what he doesn't display, right? So how much of credit he gives, what is the delivery limit, right? So he doesn't have the 5 kilometer delivery limit or 2 kilometer radius delivery limit, nothing like that. This decision making process is much more flexible. He has better operational control. He has more freedom to work. There is something called as a planogram, right? So in the case of a chain retailer, right? So what happens is that the chain retailer is governed by a centralized authority. He will give you a planogram. So planogram in retail is a plan of what are the items that should be displayed to the shopper, right? So every store of Reliance will receive a planogram from its central office. 80% of the planogram is done by the central office, right? So they will say, here is where you have to keep your Colgate plaques, right? So this is the place, this is the shelf. On the right hand corner of the store, you should keep your dairy. In the dairy shelf, you should keep Milma milk in the eye contact level, and then you should keep Hudson milk above. You should keep the Arogya milk a little below. Right? All these things are fixed by the central retailer, central control processing authority. Then there is some limit of freedom. Right? So what is making a differential impact is the amount of control and the amount of flexibility that a traditional retailer has. Is inherently because he's having only one store and he is the owner, who is the manager, he's the CEO, and his family is employed in the store, or somehow he'll have another few employees. Right? So this makes this a model a unique model. Whereas the chain stores have their own ways. And what is the flip side of it? Right? So what exactly? Right? So he is now a very flexible, very convenient. He gives on credit. Calls you at. He is serving you at your beck and call. Right? So you call your local kirana store and then ask him to get you a packet of bread. He will get you immediately because he knows you, and then he has the best CRM software in the world. What is that? It is his brain. Right? So the CRM of his his software, his brain is more powerful, more functional, more analytical than what we have in our large scale retailers. Right? So another important, the flip side of it is that he lacks negotiating power. Right? So the volume of purchase is very low. Right? And people also, their expectations have evolved. They no longer want a traditional retailer to be so traditional, so very not modern, right? They also want what they expect in a modern store to be replicated, or at least a part of it to be available in their stores, which he is not able to give, right? So what is happening is that the traditional retailer has few points, right? So he has some brownie points, which he manages to do well. Why kiranas are thriving, what traditional retailers are thriving, is that they know what they are good at and they do it to their best now. Right? So they know that this is what I'm good at, this is what people are coming to me for. So let me do it better. Right? So how to handle competition? This is again another competitive perspective. When you're faced with competition, how to handle competition is one thing that you can learn from kirana stores. Right? So they have learned the art of knowing their strength and playing the strength and working on the relationship. This is what is their hallmark, right? So why these local retailers, small stores are very successful? They are able to handle competition from your Ambanis and Birlas and Goenkas is because of the fact that they are aware of who they are, and then they know how to play things better. Okay? So what is happening here is that why still people want modern, and why modern retail is thriving and growing at a greater rate is because they lack in certain aspects. So what modern retailers are focusing now, they are focusing on giving them what they are good at. They are giving them large variety. They are giving them deep discounts. They are giving them the better ambience, right? As a result of it, they are trying to wean the consumers of a traditional outlet to that of the modern outlet. Now we are seeing an intense game where each one of them know what they are good for, and then they want to pull the consumers. Are you in a position to understand? There is something called as the push, pull, and mooring model. Right? So when do you want people to move from? Right? So you can always push products. Right? Pushing people towards another brand is because you're inherently unhappy with the current offering. People are happy with whatever they get in kirana stores. They're also equally happy with whatever they get in their modern stores. Right? So what the retailers are now doing, if you look at it from a very strategic perspective, is a big game in which everybody is playing what their strength is. They're trying to pull the consumers, right? So once you pull the consumers, you can make them stay in your fold, right? So you draw them by your sheer positive attribute, right? So the modern retailer says, I give you a wider assortment. I give you a lower price. I give you a better ambience. I give you a better after sales service. Come to me. What does the traditional retailer say? The traditional retailer says, I give you what you want, right? So I may not have a larger assortment, but then I have what you want, right? So I give you what exactly is required by you. I give you what is locally available. I give you at a reasonable price. And if you ask me to deliver anything and everything, I'm ready to deliver. If you don't have money, I'll give you on credit. Right? So he is playing up to his strength. right? As a result of it, what is happening is that consumers are happy with all the offerings. That is why all the formats of retailing are growing, right? So online also is thriving, and modern outlet is also thriving, traditional outlet is also thriving. Why? How all of them are able to coexist is because they are pulling customers by their strengths. They are not pushing customers, right? So you're drawing customers, and how you're going to draw customers is what is more important, right? So growth is evident from all the types of retail outlets that are present. Atulya, is it ready? Atulya, can we put them on to breakout groups, or shall I continue with my class?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, can put.
I have made right? So now, 55 now, right? So on to the breakout groups, and then both me 20. Clear? Please assign them to the because I have made you the I don't have to
No, shall I open?
Yeah, you open
Hello.
breakout, right?
Okay.
All of you go to breakout groups.
Ma'am, a few students are not assigned. I think 3 or 4 of them.
Control the host control to me. I'll assign them. Transfer the host control to me. Transfer the host.
Okay. Wait a minute. Geeta.
Yeah, type out my name in the card.
My gosh. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Did you get?
Yeah, I
Shall I? Ma'am, could you please do that?
yeah, I will.
I think for 10 or something.
Yeah, I will ask them. Like, let them tell me the groups. You also be live because you need to give them.
Okay. Sure.
Those of you are here. Movia and Abhishek.
Ma'am, Abhishek here, Abhishek Dalal. I think she added me to the wrong group.
Okay, which one do you want to be assigned to?
I'm with Swati and Abhay, I guess. And Abhishek Ane will be with this group with Ayushi.
No, I need the numbers because I.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Abhishek, which number are you? Which number are you like? Are you in?
My is group 4 and Abhishek Dalal is group 4. And
Abhishek
I'm
NA.
Abhishek Dalal, group 4, ma'am.
Okay, Abhishek NA.
Then one more Abhishek, roll number 190. He's from group 2.
Okay, group 2. I'm assigning this. Toshi.
Yes, ma'am.
Toshi, which role do you assign to?
10.
And Toshi from group 10.
Toshi is assigned. Praveen is 5. Praveen is 5. Okay, fine. Then Akash.
Ma'am, I think I'm group 7.
Okay, I have already assigned you. Come back and then I'll reassign you. That is what I can do.
Okay.
Fine. Akash, which room are you in?
Ma'am, group 5.
Group 5, is it? Are you sure? Group 5? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Devesh?
Yes, Agash Verma, roll number 189, group 5.
Ma'am, Devesh this side. I'm in group 8.
Then these are the unassigned people. There are nobody. Akash Verma, which room are you in? Praveen Chandra, Akshay, Nilay, and Abhishek Dalal. Abhishek Dalal, which room are you in?
Akshay Kannoli, group number 1, ma'am. Akshay Kannoli.
Ma'am, this is Praveen. I'm in group 7.
Which one, na? Praveen, okay, have you come out, Praveen?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in group 7.
Okay, you want to be moved to which group?
Group 7, ma'am. I came out of group 5, which you assigned earlier.
Your name is not here. Praveen Chandra have not joined. It will be unassigned. It is not reflecting in. You can wait for some more time. It is not coming in unassigned. You join the group, I'll move you there. From there, I'll move you, Praveen. It's not getting.
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't get you.
Your name is not unassigned. It is reflected in breakout room. Move to group 7. Yeah, I move you. Sorry, I move you to 7. Then others, Vinay, which group should I assign you to? Vinay,
Vinay is recently joined, I think.
yeah,
Mine is group
yeah, which
4,
group?
Abhishek. Group 4.
Abhishek, Dalal. Not in unassigned. You're already assigned, Abhishek. You didn't join, I guess.
I am assigned to
Ma'am,
group.
Abhishek already assigned group 4.
Ma'am, I'm going back to wrong room only. That's why I have come out twice.
Yeah, yeah. Which group are you in? Tell me, I will assign you. Currently, which group are you in? I need to know that.
Group number 4. I am currently in breakout room 2, but I am actually in group 4.
Okay, Abhishek Dalal. Okay, which group
Yes.
are you in? Which group number? I'll assign you
Group
now.
4. Group number 4.
Okay, I have assigned you to group 4. You can go now. Fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So anybody else who needs assignment? Akshay Kannoli, not joined. Vinay, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Can you assign?
Yeah, where do you want to be assigned, Vinay? Which room? Which room? Which group do you belong to? Which group do you belong to?
Hello.
Tell me, Vinay, which group you belong to?
Six, ma'am. He's Nigam now. Vinay Nigam, roll number 21966.
Group 6 is it? Okay. I'm assigning you
Yeah,
to group. I have assigned him. Priya, what happened? You've come back. Hey, you have not gone to the room.
Ma'am, my connection restarted, so
Okay, fine. So where do
I
you
got
You're now in the
room 3.
which group are you in? Yeah.
I was in room 3. 3, ma'am.
You can join now. It gets reflected in room 3 only area.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So only Akshay is remaining here, is it?
I think he's not here. He's not physically. He's not present. I think so.
Okay, let them do their activity. We'll come back. Toshi, what happened? You've come out of the room. Do you want me to assign you to that room?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm getting disconnected continuously. I don't know why. That.
Assign you. Which room are you in?
Ma'am, 10, group 10.
Okay, I've assigned you. You can go now.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, I think I left
What
the,
happened, Raki?
I think I left the group by mistake, the breakout room by mistake.
Is it okay, Bhaiya? But I have closed the breakout room. You can remain here. It is
Okay,
11:25 now, right? So I'll give
okay.
you some instruction for the next class. And then when did you come out? I did not see you. I saw only
Just
Akash.
right now. Just right now.
Okay, not a problem. I have closed the rooms right now. All of them will come here.
Okay, okay.
Right? So Raki, how is your Insta page doing?
Ma'am, it's doing good, but right now I'm not creating that much because of the exams and case study competitions again.
Okay, fine. So you're slightly busy right now.
Yes, ma'am. But I'm still trying to continue it like one
तो
post a
वैसे
week.
बताना है ना, ठीक है?
All of them have come. 47. How about the rest? There are only 50 who had come back to the main room. So I'll wait for 1 more minute before giving you the instruction for the next class. So I'm waiting for a few more to join in. Okay, so all of you have completed the exercise. Is the exercise completed now?
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will discuss it in the next class. This activity, which was given as a in-class activity, I will discuss it for 15-20 minutes on Thursday's class. Thursday, again, we will be meeting. When we meet, we will discuss this particular exercise and what exactly are the key takeaways for us in this particular activity. And the second thing that I want you to do is that I have assigned 4 industry reports for you, right? 3 industry reports and 1 HBR article for you. And of which, right? So this is an article by Deloitte on what the future is. This is an extremely well written article, very, very insightful, right? So the analysis of the scenario, both retail and CPG, is very good, right? So what I want you to do is that I want the group to again come up with the presentation of this particular report, right? So this report had given 7 key trends in retailing, right? So what I want the group to do in the next class is that I need the 7 trends consolidated in the presentation, right? So you can make up to 10 slides of which. So what you need is that this report is running for some 40 pages, but then you need to give me only the key aspects of what exactly is the retailing trend. Say, for example, what is happening in the business model. So what is happening in the business model is price is increasing, cost is decreasing, margin is getting squeezed, right? So this is what is happening. What is the problem? What is the solution? What is the current state? Are you in a position to analyze the three important aspects of the retailing trends? What is the current problem? What is the current solution? And what exactly is likely to happen in the future? Right? So 7 to 8 slides of this report, we'll be doing a discussion on this for close to half an hour. Right? So 15-20 minutes we will be spending on the debrief of the exercise that we did today, and another half an hour on understanding the retail, right? So there are a couple of other retail reports are also given, both by KPMG. Please read them, but we cannot take it for analysis in the class for paucity of time. So we'll be doing the first half of the class will contain discussion on exercise and report, and the second half of the class will contain the discussion on IKEA, right? So I have assigned a case for IKEA on the retail formats. So let's go through that particular case also. That again is a group activity, right? I am not asking for submission this time, right? So a priori submission, I am not asking for this class. And I want only for the presentation and the other things to be ready during the class. So in the class, the groups will be randomly called for presentation. Is that clear? Right? So for the
Yes, ma'am.
case, I'm not giving you any lead questions. I don't want to lead you towards the responses. I am giving a now window for you to explore the case in the way in which you want to, right? All I want you is to have some structure as to what the case is, what the retailing dimension that we are going to discuss. So it is a generic case. You can take it in the way in which you want to. So I want the groups thought applied to what you want to explore. Is that clear? So we have 3 group activities destined for Thursday. One is the case discussion. The second one is the industry report discussion. And third one is the exercise discussion. So today was a warm up to our class. So we did not have much of intensive, incisive analysis, right? So the retailing class will be more discussion oriented. We'll be more probing into how to make sense of a larger data, right? Devesh, please go ahead. Devesh, you had raised your hand.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wanted to ask about the PPT. So we have to make PPT for case analysis, right?
See, I don't insist on PPTs. If you could do it with your Word, or if you can make your handwritten document also, and then you project it in the class, it is fine, right? So I'm not insisting on the format, but there should be the application of group thought process into the activity that is going on, right?
The articles, ma'am, which you have shared, they will be discussed only, right?
PPT, articles will be in PPT because you need to condense it, right? You need to know the current state, what exactly is the solution that is available, what we envisage in the future. So 3 aspects of the dimension. Say, for example, if it is digital sales is increasing. Digital cost is also increasing. The number of advertisements are coming down, right? So you need to understand a larger dynamic, arrive at one liner or two liner of the problem is. Don't bombard the PPTs with too much of contents. I want the core issue. There are 7 trends. 7 trends has a problem solution and the future prediction. I want you to understand that. Is that clear? Fine.
So we have to make a PPT for articles and just case discussion.
Case for discussion, right? So if you think, so a few of you may think that PPT is not warranted for report, fine, you're free to present in whatever way, even video presentation of it, or you record what is the debate that happened within your group and then present your video also. Any format is fine. Video, audio, PPT, PDF, Word, or your handwritten document projected, nothing is a problem as long as you discuss and then arrive at a consensus. Is that clear? So we'll end the class here.
Ma'am, the articles are for the session 1 articles that we have to summarize for the PPT.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is the Deloitte report. If you can see it, this is how the report will be. It is a Deloitte report. The future is coming, right?
So only this Deloitte one, ma'am, right?
Only Deloitte, not KPMG. I have given 3 reports to you. I'm not asking you to make presentation of 3 reports. Only 1 report, that is Deloitte, which is very important. Is that clear? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you look at the readings, I have given 3 reports and 1 HBR article. For the discussion in the class, I'm taking up only Deloitte's article, Deloitte's report, right? So what exactly is the current trend of retailing and consumer products across the globe? What is happening, right? So that we will take up for discussion, which we should know for us to understand the market better and for you to understand the environment better. Is that clear? For your placement also, it will be of great use. Fine. So we will end the class here. So today's was a warm-up session. As I told you, we did not do much of a hard work in today's class, but from Thursday onwards, we'll get started, right? So in real terms, come prepared for an intense debate on the various aspects, right? Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.